99.7 FM.
All right, let me catch my breath. But I know you're on the other side. Many thanks for tuning in. Ultimate Health this and every Sunday. 2:05, we're live. I'm sure you can see me, squeezing my face at one of my sweet guests, I got two queen mothers in the studio. Yeah, slipped by, but World Suicide Prevention Day slipped by. We're busy doing other important things. We're going to touch on that. Next Thursday is World Mental Health Day as well. And we're looking at mental health issues in the workplace. But today we want to change the narrative on suicide prevention and response. Not a comfortable topic at all. Checks tell me that annually we're losing close to 1,000 plus. In fact, some say 1,900 people. About 7 in every 100,000 end their lives or lose their lives through suicide. We want to find out what it is and why do we need to change the narrative. I got my guest seated, Dr. Erica Dixon. One of my many manya ones. Yeah, she's a physician, she's a clinical psychologist, and she's based at the 37 Military Hospital. Dr. John Larry Afutu Manyawan, clinical psychologist with the University of Ghana. We'll be looking at changing the narrative. What's your experience? What's your understanding of suicide? And why are we seeking to change the narrative? Ladies, you're welcome. I'm not hearing you. All right, I have the mics adjusted. Can you speak again so I can just clear? All right, say that again.
Thank you very much, Mancha.
Oh no, Ziggy, can you just check the guest microphones? They're very faint. Okay, so whilst I'm doing that, like I said, a serious topic: suicide. Very, very serious public health issue, and I'll just get back to my guests in a second. I think my producer has to check on their mics and make sure we are all good to go, and you can hear us. Okay, once we sort that out, let me know. My WhatsApp is 055 11 11 997. They say I say that too quickly. 055 11 11 997. How could you forget that? We're live on Facebook and YouTube. Shortly, I will activate the phone lines. We're looking to change the narrative. Do we have a supportive narrative in this country? Are we stigmatizing those who may be afflicted and affected? Even the language, the terminology has to change. In recent past, we've been able to modify our laws, decriminalize suicide, yes. If you attempted suicide, the law didn't look too kindly on you at all. And you would be dealt with by the law. We've done years of advocacy and we've managed to reverse that. But what else needs to change to make it supportive, a nurturing, environment that provides support, timely responses that will change these statistics. That's what we're talking about. And that's why my guests are in the studio. As soon as I sort out their microphones, we'll get to go. But you know, WhatsApp is 055 11 11 997. Any experiences with suicide? Very often we forget the surviving family if it does come to its fatal conclusion. Share with me 055 11 11 997. This is not a topic I want you to be silent on. Indeed, we want to break that silence. It's part of changing the narrative. There are cultural dynamics, even workplace dynamics. I do a lot of work with corporate organizations, workplaces that unfortunately have been impacted by this human phenomenon. What would make somebody want to end their life? Let me try again. Guess, can you hear me? Erica?
Hello.
Yep. Okay, I'll boost your mics a bit, but it's still a bit low, right? But you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
And it's good to have you as a pair. I'm loving this sandwich with my colleagues in the studio, but great to have you, and great to pull back the World Suicide Prevention Day and the issues as we approach World Mental Health Day, right? I couldn't get man side Erica. She was busy celebrating at Infants Man. Erica, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so just to set us off, why are we concerned about the narrative? We'll come to what suicide is and some of the statistics, but why are we concerned and making deliberate efforts to change and set or reset the narrative?
All right. Thank you very much. Like you rightly said, suicide is a public health problem, and a significant one as that, considering that the majority of people who end their life by suicide are young folks. And the young folks are going to take over in the next generation. We can't afford to lose them this way. And it is a problem that is preventable. It is a problem that those who are experiencing the ideas or thoughts of wanting to end their lives can be helped.
All right.
And like all situations, as long as there's help, no one needs to suffer.
Okay. Right. So there are people who, for some reason, right, be it gender related, be it genetics, be it neurotransmitters, be it whatever, are vulnerable and prone to these thoughts, suicidal thoughts, right? And we need to address that, but we need to be mindful how we address that, and whether we're doing more harm than we intend or we set out to do.
Sure.
Okay, right. And you mentioned that the huge chunk of those who unfortunately attempt suicide are in their young, productive stages. Can you clarify that a bit?
All right. So it's reported that globally, about every 20 seconds, one person ends their life. And the majority of these are aged between 15 and 19 years. And for each person that attempts suicide, each person that ends their life by suicide, there are multiples of others who may have attempted but did not see it through. And this makes it a real big problem. The statistics are scary. And there are so many factors that come to play that push young people especially to follow through with this phenomenon. Now, young people, that phase of change from adolescence to adulthood is extremely challenging. You are not sure whether you are a young person or you are an adult. You want your independence, so to speak, from the older people. And yet the older people are also not quite ready to let you go. They are still interfering. And sometimes just that turbulence alone is difficult. We know also that there are a lot of mental health disorders that start in that age group. So contrary to what people think, it is people who have responsibilities and burdens who should be having mental illnesses.
Okay.
It is among the youth, the
Okay.
young people, where some severe mental illnesses would start.
All right.
And until people understand that and look out for these young ones, it may be completely lost on them.
Okay. Right. Yes.
Can
Yes,
I
Joanna.
quickly add on? So as Dr. Dixon spoke, my mind went back to a case I did some time ago. This was a very young person, 12 years, who died by suicide. And it rippled.
I know you're not saying committed suicide, you're saying
No,
died by suicide. Can you just hit on that for my guests to benefit and appreciate why we no longer want to hear committed suicide and we say died by or through suicide?
So we have decriminalized suicide.
Mhm.
And that means that if you are saying that somebody committed suicide, we are saying that the person has committed an offense.
Okay.
And must be punished for that.
Okay.
And so, and we know that suicide sometimes comes about as a result of some mental health problems or life's difficulties.
Okay.
And so we don't want to commit ourselves by saying committed suicide,
Mhm.
but died by suicide.
So we're changing the law, the
changing the
policy,
narrative.
and of course, the diction, the choice of words, right, is important. Because if I'm feeling that way, I already know that society is not going to be happy with me,
Yeah.
right? They're going to deal with me. In fact, we've handled cases where people have attempted and failed and are lying in hospital beds with a policeman next to the bed and sometimes with handcuffs and restraints.
Yeah.
All right? So we are changing the narrative. Okay. What did you guys do? Right. Can you just speak so I'm sure you're still...
Hello.
Yes, you're back. But oh, that was a screaming change. Right, so I can hear you clearly now. I think something has been fixed.
All right.
Aha. Right, so we're changing that narrative and we
Sure.
want to be careful and deliberate in how we speak about it as professionals, as policy makers, and even as family members.
Definitely.
Right, okay. Now continue.
So there was a copycat syndrome. So a lot of people young people were dying by suicide. It continued for a while in a particular region I don't want to mention.
Okay.
And so it became a concern for the educational unit over there.
Okay.
And we met parents, PTA executives, and we decided to talk about it.
99.7
Okay.
FM.
Now the blow was that a child or a youth has no business with suicide because they are catered for.
Okay.
We pay your school fees, we do everything for. So why do you even think about suicide? But from practice we see that these young ones are growing and they also have concerns. Concerns that may drive them to die by suicide or use suicide as a way of escape, or like Dr. Dixon said, in that bracket we are seeing a lot of them developing or showing signs and symptoms of mental health disorders.
Right.
And that
Of which a
predispose them
feature or characteristic may be suicidal ideation or
Exactly.
suicidal
Exactly.
thoughts.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Can I also try to change the narrative? You see, when you say a child has no business, and then follow up with that to show why they may have business, right? We're really looking at it in its manifestations, how it evidences, okay? I may be unhappy about the way I look and something a friend said in class.
Yeah.
I'm still a child.
Yes.
Okay, so sometimes when we're explaining these things, people do get it wrong. They think that, well, what is this child's worry? My child's school fees. I buy so they need the account. But it is wrong, right? I may be body shamed. I may be cyber bullied. I may be accused wrongly. And these things at various developmental stages have a tremendous, intense impact on me. And I may seek a one-way ticket, a permanent solution to a temporary problem, which indeed is what it is.
Yes.
Right? Most of them who fail tell us that I really do want to live, but this is how I felt at that material point.
Yeah.
So just again adjusting the narrative small so that people don't take what you said to mean that, well, we're not expecting to see some of these things. Indeed, in some parts of the world they are having very, very high numbers in the teens and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's be mindful of that. If you just joined us, 25 minutes past the hour of 2 on Joy 99.7 FM on a Sunday afternoon. Yep,
Joy
As
99.7 FM.
every Sunday afternoon, this is Ultimate Health, your ultimate guide to healthy living with me, Nortey by nature, not naughty by nature, Nortey by nature, and Ganyo Jimmy, right? And we're looking at changing the narrative of on suicide, its prevention, and the response. Okay, if it really affects or afflicts you, and you contact some of the should I say responding professionals and services and agencies, what is the response? Has it also been tuned and changed in should I say a conducive direction? That's why I have Dr. Erica Dixon in the studio and Dr. Joanna Larry Afutu in the studio. They are both clinical psychologists, and Erica doubles and doubles, but she's also a physician. Yeah, she's a doctor as well, a doctor of medicine. Okay, many doctors flying around these days. Okay, me, I sit in the seat. Okay, yeah, and I bring them to you. WhatsApp is 055 11 11 997. Shortly, I will activate the phone line so that you can get in on the discussion. It's a serious discussion. Do not be silent. All right, and what you do when somebody tells you this is what they're thinking. Now, let me bring it closer. I had a friend whose son in primary school said one day in the car going home, Mom, my classmate is worried about his parents who seem to be getting closer to divorce. And he's worried about having to choose where to go, who to side with, what even to say about it, and what even to ask about it. But one of the biggest and most significant things that this boy shared with his classmate was he can't see the way forward, and therefore perhaps if he wasn't alive, things would be easier. Okay, of course he hasn't been to the other side before, but he's thinking that way, and he shared it with an age mate. These were 9-10-year-olds. All right, so his mother was devastated. This is something that just dropped, as they will say, putu in the car. And she's wondering, do I tell the class teacher? Do I tell my son it's okay, it will sort itself out? Do I not listen to my son? What signal am I giving to my son if I ignore what he has shared? Right? What do you say to something like this? Do you call a teacher? This is why the narrative must change.
Sure.
Okay? We don't know whether this boy had told his parents. We don't know who else he had told, but he's disclosed to somebody his age.
Yes, thank you very much. Well, yes, that's very devastating. And one of the youngest persons that I have engaged with who attempted suicide was 8 years old. Just to correct a certain impression that was created when Dr. Lara Futu was talking.
That may have been created. I got her point very clearly.
All right,
but
okay.
On radio, we try to make sure.
That may have been created that young people have no business even thinking of ending their lives. We tend to trivialize people's heads and aches. And what may be nothing to you,
silent suffering,
is everything to the next person.
Okay.
And for this child that you bring up, why does she have or he have to choose between which parent to live with? They can't even comprehend.
Yeah.
And so it is devastating for him. I think it would be a good and kind act for this parent who heard about it to engage with the school. These days, most schools have school counselors. And so once the authority or somebody in authority in the school is made aware and the counselor in the school is brought on board, parents of this child who is suffering would be brought into the picture. And if the school counselor is not equipped to manage, then the appropriate source of help is gotten for them outside of the school.
Right. In this instance, at least, we did get the levels of escalation, right?
Yes.
We were able to contact a class teacher and do some smoother, or smooth transitions to get to the issue. Initially, parents were a bit like, oops, we're nowhere near there. But the child is aware of the marital conflict. Right? They hear the things you say at each other, to each other, and sometimes even about the children. and this is the downstream effect or impact on your child.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't get the explicit utterances that relate to suicide. Sometimes you see a change in academic performance, you see other things, right? So we're just trying to make sure you understand that things that hurt and harm may be beneath the skin, may be silent, but there are some flags we can look out for. And if we are speaking about it in the proper context, in the conducive context, then we'll hear more of these things, and we're more likely to be postured and mobilized to prevent this unfortunate human phenomenon. If you've just joined us, WhatsApp is 055 11 11 997, and we're live on Facebook and YouTube. And shortly I will activate the phone. Let me activate the phone lines because we did start a bit late. Just a second. 030 221 6541. That's the number to call. 030 221 6541. We're looking at some of these issues, and we want to make sure you are part of the discussion and part of the journey and part of the transition that we are talking about. Okay, I know very often you call in and praise the guest in the studio, or thank you Nortey for the good work and all that, but if nothing is happening on your side, then we're wasting our time, right? We hope to inform and transform. That's the ultimate objective. So 055 11 11 997, 030 221 6541. Ultimate Health on Joy 99.7 FM. I'm in the company of colleague clinical psychologist Dr. Erica Dixon. Somebody tells me she's so in love with you. I mean, how? Erica belongs to me somehow. Be very careful. And then the other man here, Dr. Joanna Larry Afutu. She's with the University of Ghana Medical School. University of Ghana, Department of Psychology, right? She's a clinical psychologist as well. So you have them at your fingertips. The buttons have been mentioned. 030 221 6541. WhatsApp is 055 11 11 997. Yes, Joanna?
Yes, I have in my hand the Mental Health Authority toll-free line. I'm going to mention this because, assuming this child didn't mention it in an institutional setup, maybe in the house, maybe among friends, anyway, a parent could call this toll-free line 0800 678 678 0800 678 678. 24/7. You can call when you are in distress or when you realize anybody close to you is in distress. Aside that, we are very fortunate. Changing the narrative.
Hang on. Slow down. So we have helplines.
Yes. Yes, MHA.
And under the Mental Health Authority. Yes. Okay, so if anybody even Google the Mental Health Authority, they'll get these lines on there as well. Yes. And I'll make sure my producer Ziggy puts them up on our pages as well. We've done that before. But just tell me, Joanna, so should I call this line? Or let's say this my friend who told me what her son had said in the car, didn't have me as a friend or didn't have my contact, right? When they call this line, what exactly will happen?
Great. So,
and who would they be speaking to?
So you'll be speaking to psychops, people who have been trained to as first responders, and depending on the narrative you present, they are going to give you first aid and refer you
over the phone.
Yes.
Okay. So they're going to interview you and get some form of initial assessment of what the situation is, who they are talking to, right? Who is close to them, and so on and so forth.
Yes.
All that will be taken down.
Yes.
Okay.
Please. I remember one night I was called.
Joy 99.7
and in fact,
FM.
I think the respondent did very well. The person said, "I have everything here.
I'm ready."
And they were able to hold this person till they got through to me.
Okay.
And we arranged an early morning. I sorted out the person.
All right.
But sometimes we have the hospitals changing narratives again. I think Ghana has done well by trying to destigmatize. You know, when you ask somebody go to the mental hospital or the psychiatric hospital, there is a stigma. And so currently you can walk to any hospital,
any
general
health
hospital,
facility,
and then you can have a psychologist or a mental health expert to talk to.
Okay, right. We make it sound very simple, easy peasy psychology. But I mean, despite increased and enhanced numbers, it's not that straightforward,
Sure.
right? I've handled schools where there's a counselor. Well, they are not a clinical psychologist, and we need to explain to people that there are people who have the skills and capacities to do the initial, should I say, screening,
Yeah.
and then know when and how to escalate it to a higher level.
Yeah.
Don't say you don't have a clinical psychologist, so you're doing nothing, right? So I'm going to be, pinning my guests down so that we explain some of these things, and then that helps to change the narrative. When people feel redundant, clueless, helpless, then doing nothing seems to be a good thing to do, right? And
Yeah.
hope that it will go away, right? I had to years ago respond to somebody who had been, should I say, referred to me over the phone by my now late friend. He said she worked with me a couple of years back, but I think she has issues. Nortey, can you help? For 2 years, colleagues and listeners, this is somebody I used to help over the phone. Never met her. She had her way of dribbling and avoiding actual physical one-on-one sessions. But I knew her. So there was a day I was in my private office in Yaniba, and I got a text message, or was it a WhatsApp message, which says, "It's a shame we never got to meet, but I just wanted you to know I've finally been able to do something successful in my life." So I was figuring, who has graduated and I didn't attend? The number was strange, and I'm kidding you. This is live, real story.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Something pricked me to call this person and say, who is this? I'm not too sure. And how come we haven't met? And it seems like from what you sent, we will never meet. I don't like the sound of that. Let's celebrate your success. And the person sent, I think it was a WhatsApp, sent a smiley emoji, kind of, but didn't. So I called the number. And it was this lady I'd never met over 2.5 years. And she has this sense of humor. So she was trying to joke, but she was struggling to talk. So I said, "Do you have a cold or a cough?" She says, "Oh, she's fine." Then I joked and said, "Well, then I don't want to hear you when you're not fine." Then she reluctantly, based on my questions, told me she was alone at home and had gone to a place, I won't say it so that people don't copy it, but had bought some medicines and had drunk and was essentially waiting to die, and had chosen to reach out to me because we had never met. And I asked, "But where are you? Who's there? Give me directions. I'll come." "No, you'll only come and save me. I don't want to be saved." Long story short, I managed to get a location out of her. I called my now late friend and said, "Can you confirm, this girl you asked me to help some years back, does she live in this area?" Because she could just send me on a wild goose. So as he confirmed, and I got into my car, Erica, horn blazing from Nyaniba to East Legon. Traffic. When I finally got to the house, gate was open. I charged into the house. I was shouting her name. I haven't seen her. I don't know what she looks like. And I saw an arm on a floor. So I charged into the room. She was unconscious. And I managed to find her phone. I managed to get her to talk, and she showed me her mom's number. When I called her mom and said, "I am so and so, you don't know me, this is the situation, I'm going to try and get her to hospital." And she'd taken this medicine, and she had a bucket she was throwing up next to her, which had tipped over. So she was lying in the vomit or the whatever, the mess, right? I went outside to beg somebody to help me take her to hospital whilst I drive. Nobody wanted to help. So I carried her. She was as thin and light as paper. With the bucket, with the whatever, put her on my back seat. From there to Legon Hospital. I'm sad to say, I met colleagues of mine who said they were closed. They were closing. Nobody wanted to help it. There was one male nurse, I've forgotten his name now, who came out, received her, and said, "We'll see what we can do." Right? Remember, I said when her mother picked the phone, she said, "Again." Because she had done this before. Right? Long story short, she's alive.
We thank God for that.
We saved her, And thumbs up to those at Legon Hospital those days back then who did what they had to do. I had to do, I was sent, do a card, do this, do that. But the male nurse said, boss, go. I'll do what has to be done. Because the first few people said, do a card. I said, I don't even know her. But she survived. Right? So this is a real issue. And now she's in the States with her, and she had a child. This is another story. Right? But this is the kind of thing. What is the response? Okay, I brought somebody in, a suicidal attempt, and some health workers told me they had closed. And a lot of people did not want to get involved. So I'm one who's, when we say change the narrative, I hit where it must go. Right? Have we changed it along the line?
All right.
How is it going?
Okay, so decriminalizing suicide last year is a good thing that happened.
Critical milestone.
Very critical.
It is no longer a criminal offense.
It took years of advocacy to get there.
To get it off our books.
But having gotten that first step is nowhere near the end at all. How many people even know that it's no longer a crime? Health persons live in the same culture that stigmatizes, discriminates. And so they are no different. And there must be concerted effort at educating.
You're saying that the professionals or some professionals manifest the same stigma and discrimination.
We live in the same culture.
Albeit with their titles and their professional tags.
They are who they are first before they went to learn anything.
I'm loving you for saying it.
That is the fact of the matter.
Thank you.
We are all whatever religious beliefs that we have, whatever cultural beliefs that we have, and then our education just sits on top of it.
Let me just announce the phone lines again. 030-221-6541. WhatsApp, I can see action there. I'll read them out in a sec. 055-11-11-997 is my WhatsApp number. The phone is active. Use it. 030-221-6541. Right, Erica.
Yes, so in a study that Professor Safo and a group of us did, looking at health professionals, it was so clear. We moralize as health professionals. Why would you even do this? This is not a Christian thing to do.
So sometimes you blast the person.
Yes, they tell him or her off, instead of rendering support. In that collect of health professionals, the psychologists were better as far as their orientation towards how they see suicide. And that clearly says that we have to be out there actually educating other health professionals to understand what it takes, what it means for somebody to get to that point, and the kind of needs that they have to be met, so that we don't bring in our own baggage in dealing with them. Shouting at them doesn't sort anything out. Telling them this is a crime you've committed does not sort anything out.
All right. Let me just, let's explain quickly before we move to other parts of the transition in narrative, right? So we've now got it cleaned up on our books, on our laws, right? So that opens the door to help support, right? And also makes it clear in the minds of people afflicted and affected that this is the posture, right? We're looking at somebody who is facing a human challenge, crisis, right? For which we do not believe they should be sanctioned for by law, right? And therefore this should make it easier for people to reach out and actually let us know how they are feeling, instead of feeling they need to hide it, and they need to be even more should I say diligent in making sure it is successful, so that they don't face the consequences,
and also that they need to get the right help. Okay,
yes, Joanna.
To add to it, I think that beyond decriminalization, I believe we need a national suicide prevention plan. Reading.
Can I again hit you again and say, so you are saying from where you sit as a clinical psychologist, we do not have one.
We don't have.
We do not have one.
We don't have a national.
Okay, now tell us why we need one.
Plan. We need one because, like Dr. Dixon have said rightly, if we have one, then we know what do we do.
Who does it? What do we do?
What
Who
do we
does
do? Who does it?
Mhm.
And how do we do it?
Okay.
So, assuming we have the plan, then we can think of interprofessional collaboration here.
All right.
Maybe the person is sent to the hospital as a first place of responding. And I've actually seen people
Joy,
who will tell me
99.7
that,
FM.
well, if I had been successful, the health professionals wouldn't have laughed at me. They made mockery of them. So the next time this person attempts, this person wants to make sure that I'm not going to the hospital. So we need that to direct
But this is critical. You see,
prevention.
coming from you, it's critical because we've just given out helplines.
Yeah.
And we are also saying in the same breath, we do not have a plan which gives us a clear algorithm of what should happen, who should follow up, and so on and so forth. We got parts of
Surveillance
it.
and all that.
We have parts of it in place, right? I have a caller on the line, and I'll read out the WhatsApp in a second there. We have parts of it in place, right? So we fought the legal decriminalization battle. We've been successful, right? Other bits and pieces of the jigsaw must come together
Definitely.
so that we don't have what I call system-induced trauma
Sure.
or re-traumatization.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, I have a caller on the line. Yep. Okay, right. Oti Boating is on my line. Hello, Oti.
Hello, Nortey. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Share with us.
And afternoon to your guest. I think what you're saying is truth and true. God bless you a lot. Nortey, what I've seen in this issue, but a lot of them, like in the future, how they give birth to us. Like like single parents, I stay with my grandmother, and the grandmother I stay with is not my actual grandmother. My mother, uncle, wife. I stay with it. So if you see the relationship, if I in the house don't like me, if I go to school, I'm not clever. School they don't like me, and I grow up and I want to take something from society. The society don't love me. Sometimes if you go to work, they don't accept you.
So Oti,
Yeah.
Oti, you don't. Hang on. So you don't feel you belong in society and at home. Okay.
That's what I
hang
see
on, Oti. Hang on. So what you're saying is that this affects you
Yes,
as you grow, and now you are an adult.
adult. Yeah.
Okay. Now link it to what we're talking about.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel so sad. I got married and there's no child. And the wife is disturbing the issue. Love this, or divorce, a lot of issues. Okay. Sometimes I feel so sad to end up. But because of your radio state, that is why make me alive today. Because what I'm going through, a lot of people are going through. Because when they give it up, there's no love in the house.
Joy,
They go to school, there's no
99.7
love.
FM.
They go to work, they don't accept them properly. And they marriage and a lot of issues come around.
Okay.
So I think they must start this education from the schools. The teenagers tell them that no matter how you are
Joy,
somebody.
99.7
not to let them
FM.
stop committing suicide, because a lot of issues they come to suicide because they think they don't love them.
Okay.
No one care about them.
Okay.
So if they can go through that, it will help, because they should start from the schools in each and everyone, any Ghanaian, because a lot of people no one care about them, so
Okay.
they want to end up with something.
All right, thank you, Oti. And I have to do better to connect with you. We've talked about this over several years. You bring up these issues. Thank you for sharing. I have Nana Kwesi on my line. Hello, Nana Kwesi.
Hi, hello.
Hi, Nana Kwesi. Thanks for waiting. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to advise all of us. We should limit the kind of expectations we have for people. We set standard for people. They have to meet them. They are not able to, and they are pushed to the corner, and they do all sorts of things. Children, they experience exactly what adults we do. It's just that they are not able to express it well, like we adults will do. That is also a contributing factor.
Okay.
Why, yes, we get these suicides in socialists. Sure, limit the expectations to set for people.
Okay. Thank you so much, Nana Kwesi, sharing with us there. Right. So we had Oti call, right? Oti, I've known for years. I know he sews. I used to come across him in the spare parts area. Okay, very often when we talk about fertility issues, he also contributes. But he says, look, from childhood, growing up, didn't feel loved and all this, and expectations, which I believe Nana Kwesi also underscores,
yeah.
right? So people feel they are not measuring up. Okay, and they sometimes do, and I think I heard it in Oti's voice and his narrative, sometimes feel like, Charlie, what's it all about?
Yeah.
What do you say to these kinds of things? They agree with the need for the change in narrative, but they are giving us the should I say, the spectrum of impacts, and let me call them psychological insults that we all face. Whilst you answer that, why is it that some of us are able to endure this and some seem, in some people's eyes, weak or vulnerable? Right? You think your mother was harsh. Come and listen to my mother. You ain't seen nothing. Why is it that some of us seem vulnerable?
All right. I'm glad Oti called in, because one of the
FM.
issues or situations that makes people's mental health suffer is childhood abuses. Adverse childhood experiences does a lot of damage, invisible damage to a person, and they grow up still carrying on that pain and hurt, and their mental well-being suffers. So how we bring up our children even plays a role. A child that is loved, of course you correct that child, of course you would scream at them every now and then, but they still know you love them. So even when you have shouted at them, they still come back and you give them a hug.
Right.
That sort of upbringing makes the person, just carries the message.
The
You don't even have
narrative
to say, I love you.
And the
But they
atmosphere at
feel your
home needs
love.
to change.
Exactly.
Right?
Sure.
And then he mentions we need to start this from schools. I totally
Joy
agree.
99.7
From
FM.
early childhood, there are ways of bringing in issues of mental health. And I must say that the young people now do better. They are a little more or better informed about mental health issues.
Yep.
They will call in to our facilities and book appointments to see a psychologist. Whereas if it's an older person, even when a doctor has referred, they come in virtually screaming and kicking and telling you,
Joy
I'm not mad.
99.7
When
FM.
nobody has said anything.
But
to
Erica,
that
let me
effect.
ask you this, and then on behalf of my listeners, I know I'm also a clinical psychologist, but let me play the advocate here. So this, I'm not mad though. So if I feel overwhelmed by life's pressures, and I'm, we as a threesome, we know what hopelessness means, right? You wake up every morning, you look forward to a new morning, but if a new morning is more pain, am I mad by not wanting another morning?
Well, definitely not.
All right.
So the misconception.
So that's another narrative that needs to be
Exactly,
changed.
that needs to be clarified.
My
And
bre-
let me just say this:
Uh-huh.
most people think of mental health and they think of mental disease.
Right.
And in the minds of majority of the
Joy
people,
99.7
mental illness
FM.
is one sickness.
Right.
That is called madness.
Ah,
But
bodam.
madness is an English word that simply means somebody who is showing disruptive
Right.
behavior, and it's not an illness or
Okay.
a mental disorder. So there are a variety of mental disorders, some of which may manifest with suicidal ideation. And sometimes being pushed to that level of wanting to end life or end the pain by ending this permanently.
So is everybody who shows, manifests, evidences suicidal thoughts, is that an automatic indication that they are suffering from a mental disorder?
No. All right.
So-
I'll leave it to Joanna.
Okay.
So she's talked about the mental health aspect. There is no one is immune to challenges in life. Sometimes we go through serious challenges, and I want to begin from the place she started with abuse. Usually in our homes, a lot of times when the home is destabilized, sometimes out of frustration, the words we use at children, you may think that it's only probably physical abuse that may be devastating, but the words, you are good for nothing, you no amount to anything, and that will confirm what Oti said, that once you are hearing these words over and over, you imbibe them as self-fulfilling prophecies.
I will not come to any good.
No. So
now I struggled, I'm an adult, I've married, and even in the marriage, Charlie, pressure.
There is pressure.
Right?
Yes.
I'm not able, or I'm having difficulty with, childbearing and all these things. And I remember what I was told. Right.
And it confirms what I'm going through. And so I come to accept it. So at a point when I get overwhelmed, I'm seeing that there is no way out. So I find death by suicide as an option. And that is why some people will choose that. So we have devastating life's challenges. You are unemployed, you are going through maybe you have debt issues here and there and all that. These can predispose you, anybody to.
Right. Having answered it that way, and we're almost out of time, but I'm doing some juggling. Listen, so this is a predisposing factor or a vulnerability. Having explained that, we are not justifying, validating the attempts, right? We are explaining how somebody right? Somebody, unlike you, can get there, does get there, and does require a response that stops this cycle that has been building up. That's what we're saying.
Sure.
All right?
Let me even clarify, that any of us, everybody can get there. It depends on the level of pressure that is applied to you.
That's some type of,
none of us is immune.
Right.
This pressure you've been experiencing all the while may be something that you can take until you fall in that big pothole that unscrews all the buttons.
Right.
So everybody is vulnerable.
So
the river you didn't respect
can carry you away.
Can carry you away. Right? Yes.
So that is why we need to seek help.
Joy.
If you see a mental health expert, what this expert is going to do is, together with you, find ways of coping better with the situation. That is what differentiates somebody who has planned and executed from somebody who is going through the same thing but is still building resilience.
All right.
So we can build resilience over time through our interactions with professionals.
Okay, part of changing the narrative. So if I have experienced these thoughts before, once, and they never came again, I'm fine, right? Should I be concerned as I listen to these three psychologists, or do I need them to be there all the time? What I'm trying to get from you is, so this feature of thoughts of ending my life, thoughts of harming myself, right? How indicative and how critical are they? If I've experienced them before, should I be talking to you? Should I be seeking help? I feel I'm fine right now as I listen to you. But listening to you also reminds me that, hey, when I was in JHS, right?
Yeah.
This happened to me, and I may have done something which nobody knows about, right? What would you say to that bluntly?
Okay, so that is a predisposing factor. And that means that we must prevent by building the resources we have currently, including seeing a professional. Or
so somebody who has this history I'm talking about should do what?
Should seek support.
Okay. Can they also call a helpline?
Sure.
They are not
in
danger.
Not in distress now.
Right.
They can walk into a facility and then have a conversation.
Right. Okay. Folks, I'm being very hard on my guests because I want to change the narrative with my big mouth there. Ziggy, what's on my screen now? I want to clear something. We have a lot to say. I will bring them back. I'll steal a few minutes. I know there's sports after me. What's happening to my screen? Ziggy, there's something on my screen. Can you take it off so I can read the message? Yeah? Okay. So we want to change that narrative, right? People need to know what to do. And so what if somebody tells you directly? What should you do?
All right.
Okay, having promised you another program which looks at this in detail, we'll tag it to World Mental Health Day.
All right.
What should you do? Somebody tells you, Charlie, I feel I'm down.
Yeah.
Somebody used to tell me, I get the message, Nortey, it's time to throw in the towel. It's time to throw in the towel. What do you do?
Well, first, you must seek to understand the person.
Okay.
One observation is that as Ghanaians, we are usually very judgmental.
Okay.
So being able to listen, to understand the person and empathize becomes key. Instead of once they start talking about it, we are insulting them telling them what fools they are for wanting to throw in the towel,
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Okay.
Once you're patient enough to be able to listen and you get their perspective and you are empathic,
Okay.
you may be able to help them
So
with
thank them for
different
sharing.
yes.
All right.
And giving them different perspective.
All right.
Because when you are in that hole, all you see is a tunnel vision.
Okay.
But you would come with a spread of a broad alternatives, and
All
they
right.
find that I'm not closed in contrary to what I thought.
All right. Here's something I always do. It's already 3:00. We'll get a few extra minutes, but they'll come back definitely, right, next week. I say, thank you for sharing this.
Yes.
This must have been something difficult to share.
Yes.
I appreciate your sharing.
Mm-hmm.
And that, as a first liner, legitimizes your pain.
Yeah.
It doesn't throw it away. It doesn't, should I say, discourage you from sharing more, right? It doesn't also tell you are stupid or weak,
Yeah.
right? So that is a bridge.
It is.
Okay, so we need to make sure that whoever is telling us, we don't know what hurdle, what I call it the dilemma of disclosure, right, is what I'm going to say worse than my silence.
Yeah.
Right? If I feel my silence is better, then nobody will ever know.
Sure.
Right? So those of us, and you don't need to be a psychologist to be a responder.
At all.
All right? The person felt comfortable with you and disclosed. And we're trying to show you how you change the narrative and how that translates to the response. Right?
Yes.
So sometimes the response is like, oh, you pa. I mean, how? You what is your worry? What how ne saying? Right?
If you are unlucky, they may even beat you up.
Okay. Right. So that's an important thing that we need to do. Yeah.
99.7 FM.
By listening,
Yeah.
you it's a big thing in prevention.
Okay.
Joy
Listening alone, for somebody,
99.7
listening
FM.
alone is enough
Okay.
to resolve the problem.
Right.
By listening also, sometimes you may feel helpless. What can I do? This person has told me something which is so huge for me. By connecting this person to a help source, a source
Okay.
of help is enough.
So it's okay
So
to
we
say
are
I
all
actually don't know,
know
but
what
I
to
know
do,
where
yes.
we can seek help.
Sure.
Exactly.
And I'm willing to go with you.
Yes.
Sure.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
All you have to do is show them that you are with them.
Right.
You understand them.
Okay.
You are happy to
99.7
give what
FM.
support you
Okay.
can give.
All right. I'm
And what you
stealing
don't have, you would help.
right, folks, it's
them
2
get.
minutes past 3. I'm stealing a few minutes to lay these things down
Yes.
because I want this narrative to change. So now hang on a sec. So I'm not with you. It's also important to find out who is there with you.
Sure.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Where are you? Okay. With the lady I talked about, it took a lot of dribbling for her to give me her location.
Yeah.
All right. I had a way of cross-checking as I set out from my office
Yeah.
to East Legon. Does she live here? In fact, this person was reluctant. Let me share with you, my colleagues and my listeners. At a point, she called and said, "Are you coming? Are
Yeah.
you coming?"
She was in pain.
Right? And this is somebody who had taken medication. I was waiting for the end.
Bad time to come. Yeah.
Okay? Right? Was waiting for the end. She called me, "Are you coming?" And my struggle to get there. By the time I got to Legon Hospital, my car was overheating. My horn no longer existed. Right? If you saw my parking when I got to Legon Hospital, crazy. Carried her, and at an emergency, unit, people walked past me. One male nurse. I wish I could remember
all it
his
is.
name. Right? Took her from me, and she was like paper thin. Right? Took care from me.
Joy
And
99.7 FM.
let me say this, and because I'm very, very, very passionate about this one. My friend, my schoolmate, who asked me to help her 3 or 2 years prior, we lost him a few days back. Many of you may have heard of Ghana's or Africa's Bill Gates, Herman Chinrihesi. Yeah? Herman was the one who asked me to help this young lady. Okay? Unfortunately, he's no more, but she's alive.
Joy 99.7
I believe
FM.
because of that connection and that request. Okay, I'm going to have to wrap up before my producers get angry with me. But we'll want to have you next week to to extend this and dovetail it into World Mental Health Day, which is looking at mental health issues in the workplace. A lot of the pressures and a lot of the expectations also emanate and are driven and fueled in the workplace.
Yeah.
Right? And we want our workplaces to be safe. Right? So we'll extend
Certainly.
the change in narrative. There have been some policy changes. We all need to know and be part of them. We need the narrative to change on the individual, home, family, community level. Right? There was a chief, he's also passed on. I did something with the group who said, Nortey, the way you've explained this thing, I want to tell my sub-chiefs that we need to start something.
Yeah.
Okay? The late Lamanche told me that. Right? So we need to start talking. Bridges and not walls.
Yeah.
Right? Bridges, not walls, and we'll change the narrative. Can you repeat the helplines again? All right? Because when we do that, we get to test them as well.
Joy
Okay.
99.7
So
FM.
0800 678 678. 0800 678 678.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. One more time.
0800 678 678.
Right. Okay. And there are several of those lines. I'll get them put out there. But if you Google the Mental Health Authority, they have those things under there. Let me see if I can clean up on my WhatsApp. Where's that mouse? Mice. Okay, here it is. This one says, my girlfriend lives in Kumasi. Come on. I'm clicking and it's not opening. Ooh, the forces really have meant my life today. Toffee Aqua. My girlfriend lives in Kumasi. Who lives in Kumasi invested so much in her scholarship to the USA. She arrived in Accra, where I also live, without informing me. This is his girlfriend. Right? I called her before she told me she was in a hotel in Osu. I went to the said hotel to escort her to the airport, only to discover that she was there with a man, for which reason she was reluctant to see me. She only greeted me with a tantrum. I am traumatized by this incident. The most painful part of it is my money she's using. It's my money she's using. This is from Akwaje Osu Ari. The name is not there. I see a name in earlier messages from last week. Okay. And he's sharing this one. So he's already not feeling okay, right? There are many that manifest this way. Let me read a couple more, right? Ni, I'll see if I can get back to you on this one. I can see your number, all right? Goodness, where's everything gone now? Oof. There it goes. This is Oyeno Afienya welcoming me. Kudos to you. This one's from Roberta in Frafaha. Wow, my thing is really stalling today. Yesterday too, I had all sorts of challenges on home affairs. Logging on and Edem and oof. Good afternoon, Mr. Nortey. The past weekend have been very instructive. Your panel in the studio are fantastic. This is Rebecca from Frafraha. Kudos to you. Well done, sir. I am simply Nortey. But I received the sir. Thank you. We'll be back next week with more of this. Any more I will need to do? Oof. Okay, this thing is very slow. Let me log out, and sports is coming up, and we'll take this seriously. There are helplines, okay, and there are all sorts of formal, professional, and not so formal, should I say, advocates, counselors, and helpers. Next week we'll look at who should be doing what, and even if you are a lay person, what you can do. I've seen churches also. Some are very, very, very helpful, right? And some too are harmful.
Yes.
I have said it.
Yes.
They are harmful.
Yes.
And when I come next week, if it's the name of the church, I'll mention it. And I'll tell you things they do that are not, somebody's asking to get my number. Okay. I'll see if I can do that after, offline. Thank you, Erica. Thank you, Joanna. You see why I told you they were queen mothers?
Joy 99.7
They are well positioned.
FM.
Erica is at the 37 Military Hospital. She's head of wellness and what now?
Therapy and wellness department.
You see, and she looks well. You see? Don't go putting your heart on her, otherwise you get a broken heart and you go to her for treatment. And Joanna is with the University of Ghana at the Department of Psychology, right? And you also practice or consult privately as well. Okay. All right. So you stick and stay on 99.7 FM. My name, as always, remains Nortey by nature. If it impacts on your health and your well-being, I'll talk about it. Up next, there's some music and then sports. But hey, I'll be back next week. 10th Thursday is World Mental Health Day. Many of you accuse me that you don't bring in your colleagues and your friends. We see them on other programs and other stations. And this year, I will drown them. It's my pre-pension syndrome, right? Pre-pension syndrome. But yes, we'll be talking self-esteem, bereavement, divorce, all those things that impact on your mental wellness. I haven't even mentioned mental illness yet too, right? Even poverty. It's a mental health issue, right? Stick and stay. Let me take this one from Famia as I leave and hand over to Ziggy Bedu, my producer. We'll be back next week with much more. Stick and stay. Don't go away.